Well, we'll see if we're going to go home early or not, because right now, with No Org up 1-0 after a convincing game one, we got to see how CLG Academy bounced back from that. And that is always the thing that you have to keep an eye on, is how does a team learn from their mistakes and come back into a game that was pretty heavily one-sided throughout most of it, Coco?
Well, it's gonna be it's gonna have to be as surprising as the makeup artist that we have here in the Castor Cottage, because after every single one of CLG Academy's performances, we had to redo Kangus's makeup because he cries so hard. So it's something like that where if they're able to pull something off like that, like a miracle play, totally go for it. But on the actual stakes that are at hand going into game two, we talked about the entire restructuring, entire revamp of what CLG Academy needs to do going into this second game, into this match point, to make sure that they can fight back and have a chance for this PGC circuit spot, so they don't go into that second chance tier 1 tournament. And right now for me, it's looking at, you have to find that funnel lane. We had Tim talk about it on the analyst desk. They created a possible funnel in that bottom lane, but they never really dumped resources or assets to try and prioritize that win condition.
Right, I just want to talk about the bans a bit before we jump into Champ Select, because I think CLG have selected to be on red side for game 2, so they've actually opted back into a similar thing. But on red side, Seraphine is pretty much a permaban. You have to ban her. That's burning one ban out of the gates. And they opted instead to ban Senna. I think and that's what I'm wondering. It's like, what do you trade here? Olaf, Udyr, they feel like they have to take away from Anda because he's just too good on those. And then Senna is the last one. But do you leave Senna open for Seraphine? Because either or, that's going to be the first pick.
I think you could take Olaf away, it's either that or Udyr. I think
first pick that one too.
I think all those. You're playing a sacrifice. I think it's better for it to be Anda getting that first pick than it is going to be either the bottom lane or the top sides getting their priorities going into the second phase. So if you ban out the Udyr and allow him to do Olaf, I think that's a little bit more manageable going into mid-game performances. And I'm comparing this to things like the Udyr or the Hecarim. It's something that you have actual reply capability, and it allows some different variety coming out of Griffin as well. The other thing too is, if you're able to leave that Thresh open, if No Org does the exact same stick, well, I was just going to say the Thresh, if it did get through the pick and ban, you could try and run it. Yeah, it's either that or you completely go revert and you say, you know what, don't focus the bottom side. Let's see if we can leave Senna TK open and pray that No Org doesn't try and read that blood in the water. And then we try and heavily focus on the top side and do, say, a Renekton Nidalee strategy for TN and Griffin.
Well, so far, we haven't had any changes except for the fact that Udyr was banned first instead of second this time. Olaf being the second instead of first with the Azir. Again, it almost feels like we're getting the run it back right now. But there we go. Seraphine traded. Senna should be locked in immediately here.
Now we'll see what they can grab. Like you said, well, maybe there's some jungle priority that Anda might want to find. Like, he might be able to steal either the Nidalee away. There's also, like, the Hecarim he could try and prioritize, but it's like both of those first picks, like you said, they're not as valuable as saying the Senna or the Tahm Kench that could be picked up here. And as you predicted, we talked about it. It's better to try and get that priority away from the bottom lane of No Org. Sadly, they were not able to achieve it this time around. Let's see if there is a reply from CLG Academy to answer back and give them a chance in this second game.
Possibly a blind Orianna here. That's you sometimes see that. It's not
banned
terrible.
Game 1.
It was banned, but it was second rotation ban. And so that's always one of those things that I kind of wait until, not like for first pick on red side. I'm waiting for like third, so that way you're getting it right before you have to swap over, and you get a little bit more of an idea of what you're going up against.
Yeah, because it also gives so much time for No Org to now think of what they want to be throwing into RJS's Orianna, and there's so many options on the table, right? There's 5 Fires Zoe, there's 5 Fires Twisted Fate, there's 5 Fires Veigar, there's 5 Fires Silas. The list goes on, as you can tell, and it also gives a sense that you can help double down onto any conditions or sort of gaps in your composition, because you already have a lot of the telltale sign that Orianna gives in that mid game for you to fill up. So even with the Graves, No Org has the pick of the litter going into this stat of saying, let's just get that TK right now, and then let's grab a jungler and then prioritize some of the top side. But you also again have that luxury of picking up that mid lane for 5 fire and really choking down the top end going into the second phase of draft.
Exactly. No, I will say it's like, what do you want more? Do you want to be able to get that mid lane, or do you want to be able to get the jungle? Because either one that you don't pick is going to be double up banned in the next rotation. They're not even going to touch top lane, I don't think. Just trying to make sure that they can have a little bit. And I honestly think I would probably prefer
I'd say pick jungle now.
Yeah, that's what I was
Firefire
thinking.
has such a deep
too.
champ pool, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No. If it's a flex, sure. Like
could be flex,
like Viper and
there
we go.
That's better. Nidalee makes a little bit more sense to me. That's what I was waiting for.
Okay, so this is where CLG Academy at this final R3 pick. It's tough because you can't pick you could pick Renekton here and try and deny that away from Viper and Onda on that top side. Say let's take away that Renekton Nidalee, give ourselves a strong top laner as well, and we can start banning out counters in the top end for Tien not to play. But they decide to go with Katsuri's Kalista, which he has played twice this season. Once against Zeus Gaming, it was a loss, but they also were able to pick up a win against Evil Genius's Academy in their Academy split this season. So going in with a Hail Mary play down there.
Why not Rel though?
The Rel is still available, but you could ban it out right now.
That's what I'm saying. Why not grab Rel instead of Kalista and wait? I feel like that would have been the play. You should have grabbed the Rel here just so that way it also would work very well with that Orianna. I'm expecting to see Rel banned right here. I wouldn't even expect to see it weighted just because it's like, why bother? You know that that's going to be the option that they're going to try to go for on red side. They want to be able to leave that top lane blind, so that way you're not sure what you're going to go up against. Give as much priority as possible over Tien.
Now, like the counter argument to your point, Magical, is that you still have Nautilus, you still have Alistar, you have Leona that you can still use as that engagement tool and sort of help peel back and forth between one another. The only thing is that Rel is the best option for CLG Academy, and that's what we're really trying to reiterate on that pickup. You know, at this end, Renekton is that final ban out, so they know Renekton Nidalee is not going to be a possibility. Now, for me, this is where I think we start to get a little bit fancy here. You keep playing that tank position for Tien. I want to see a counterpick Shen from the side of CLG Academy. I want them to grab their support right now, grab the Alistar, grab the Leona, or whatever you so choose to help pair out and finalize that bottom end. Make sure that you get that blind pick for No Org so you can have that counter. And there's still a couple options you can run with for Tien to try and have that extra win condition. But at this moment in time, if you go with like a fighter for CLG Academy on that top side, it's going to be tough to really help funnel in any win condition. And with that Galio lock-in, at least they have one option for Griffin to play through and try and get the ball rolling. Not to mention, Kalista and Galio also have a lot of neutral objective priorities, so that could help out with their dragon control early.
Yeah, I do like that Galio pick, I will say. Well, I feel like Rel would have just fit so much better with the composition. Galio will still be a very similar idea. And someone who's going to be able to draw everyone close, be able to utilize the Shockwave combo on top of it, plus being able to rotate around the map pretty quickly. It's going to help, especially up against 5 Fire's Twisted Fate. You had alluded to this. We were seeing it locked in here. It's not Zoe. I was wondering if it was going to be the Zoe or not, since that was left open. But his Twisted Fate is just brutal.
We're going a dimension deeper. I want No Org to go TF Camille and just hard obliterate Tien. Whatever he picks, he just gets absolutely bullied.
I feel like that would be good, actually. That's like something that we haven't seen banned here. Jace is going to be the option. It's kind of similar, but a little bit more early than you'd see from a Camille.
Well, it's also a very big damage threat, and with the changes that have come through with Jace, Conqueror Jace is still very strong, and he actually has some decent scaling with Eclipse going into the mid and late game stages, so he doesn't fall off as hard as he used to in a previous season. So
what is it, Eclipse, a good decision. Essence Reaver kind of build still?
Yeah. It's Eclipse Essence Reaver. You can go tier if you want, but it's not necessary. The Camille being the final lock-in, it's sort of a gauntlet being thrown down here for Tien, saying we're going to fight fire with fire. We're not going to go passive. We're going to be going out in a blaze of glory if we do take this loss. But we also have multiple win conditions and a good way to fight around mid-objective situations with multiple engagement threats.
Yeah, and looking at just the champion pool for Tien in the past, Camille has been one of his most played. It's up there with his Riven. I'm sure 9 games for each of them. He's got a pretty deep champion pool, but it's got one of the higher win rates as well. Sure, this year has only played it once and hasn't been able to pick up that victory, but back in the past in Oceania, that was a much more comfortable pick for Tien to be able to play. And it slots in a very similar thing, kind of what I was talking about with Galio. It's how are you going to be able to utilize that Orianna that you drafted so early in your composition I feel like that is a good way to do so.
And I think it speaks better than the argument I was trying to provide for them with the Shen. I think the Galio kind of switches that up a little bit because it is that follow-up, and you're saying, well, we need an actual true engagement piece now to help pressure advantages if we're able to find any in the early game, and that's what the Camille Fortien is going to be able to accomplish. However, this still gives me a little inkling of concerns here back and forth, because the one place where Tim was talking on the desk of saying we need to pressure bot lane, you need to get big out of this roaming style that he's been able to oppress Hooks on, and Hooks has had to play catch up for. I still don't think you're going to be able to do that. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to choke Big down and confine him to the bot lane. Once he hits level 6, he's going to start roaming fairly quickly. And even before that, he has a lot of openings to do so because value is totally fine just sitting and fasting on this Senna when he so chooses. And with the rest of how No Org's composition is cooked up, you know that you're going to be absolutely bullied in these top quadrants of the jungle. And once it hits level 6, you're going to have 3 members in that top lane almost on respawn.
And with Fire, I'm expecting he's going to wait to power farm to level 6 and just be roped in immediately to top side. Try to get Viper ahead, tag team with Anda, go bot lane. Rinse and repeat over and over again until victory. That's what the game plan is for No Org. While CLG Academy, again, needs to survive. And that I feel like is going to be their biggest issue. It's trying to see if they can survive that early pressure that No Org, we know for a fact, is going to try to exude.
One of the big things for me, too, is that early game priority, right? Because we saw the aggression coming in from Anda and Viper in the first game where they late invaded, were able to steal away the red buff away from Griffin, and then they forced a triple buff take and really put Griffin in the spot of he always having to play defensively.
Oh, they're going for another late invade. Look at this.
Oh, no. See, this is the bummer, right? Because Griffin, he has no way to actually try and contest this. Their level 1 is very bad to No Orgs.
Mm-hmm. And yep, there they go. Viper, and this time they're not even trying to see if they can be sneaky. They're going right through the front door. They've broken it down, and it's going to be another highway robbery on red buff.
Also got big up here as well, because they know that if they have that additional third man to help peel or to help just lock down targets, it's going to be sticky, but Hooks, he's got that follow-up.
Damage. Not going to actually get too much on a Griffin. He was able to dodge away most of the skill shots. And since they were able to call up RJS, they tried to see if they can at least fight back, but they're going to give up the red buff. They don't want to actually go for a full fight. Like you mentioned, it's not really strong out of them. And this is rough.
The bonus, though, here for Griffin is he might be able to actually try and do that lower quadrant jungling and just be bot prio for that time. TP is forced away from Big. He did go TP, by the way, just to let everyone know on that end. So in this case, I think it's the better result for CLG Academy if you're comparing it to how Game 1 went, because he was able to read the signs a lot quicker and is able to adapt to that on a faster draw and not giving Anda that luxury to quickly sprint down and then triple buff him. So they're going to have a little bit of a gentleman's agreement and agreeing to those different quadrants of the map and slicing it down in a diagonal manner. Though
I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping that we'd see a little bit more aggression coming in from Anda. I was hoping that he'd go red immediately to his own red and do a similar thing like last time, just to be able to keep that pressure over Griffin.
No, I think it's because once they kicked in the front door, as you said, they gave that obvious telltale sign of saying, we're late invading once again. What are you going to do about it? Griffin has learned his lesson and decides, well, okay, maybe he hasn't learned his lesson. I wanted him to go to the lower quadrant. Why is he in the top side?
Why is he there? Griffin, okay, come on, man.
I understand that you are going to the top end to try and do any counteraction if Anda tries to get a little spicy against Tien, but Tien's full health and is totally fine farming underneath the turret right now against Viper. You know what they are doing here for Anda. Anda has hit that gentleman's agreement, and when he walks down to his bottom side, hold on, Fire.
Wind up. One more way, had to. The ball would have killed him with...
A little spicy there. Might have given that backwards momentum that Tim was talking about on the analyst desk for Fire. It can go either way.
That's true.
But back to that Anda point, man, once Anda walks into the bottom lane, he's gonna be like, oh, why is my entire bottom jungle camp still up? Like, what?
Yeah, that's how he's not even pathing that way. He's like, it should not be there. It should not be there.
Oh my goodness. I
think we're both a bit disappointed on that one. But you know what? Sometimes mistakes are made. It does seem like Griffin might actually be able to still get them. It is going to be a bit later, and since hey, maybe that's the big brain play. Maybe that's the whole idea. And why would Anda go back down to the bot lane? They shouldn't be there. So you're delaying that red buff from ever spawning again. You're delaying the gold that Anda could get. Big brain mode.
He's never gonna expect the fact that I'm gonna vertical jungle when he forces that strategy. No one's gonna expect that.
Now that he's like, oh, chicken should be up, I'm gonna go get them, and he's gonna be able to get the red buff at spot lane. Hook's gonna be able to get the taunt onto only Big though. Try to see if they can get a lot of damage on him. Gonna be able to get the last embrace. He still has that thick shield if he needs to be able to get it. He's gonna be able to pop it to be able to survive and try to get away from the fight. Just a little bit of poke back onto Griffin, getting a couple souls for value. Big. I know you don't have TP, but I don't know if you want to stay here for very long.
He's a little confident because he knows Onda's in the backside, and if he forces the rest of CLG Academy to re-engage to grab this first blood, he knows that it's going to be at least a 1-for-1 trade, and No Org will have the upper hand because of where the kills might be going. That ends. Top side. Okay, hold on. We missed something.
What did we miss?
Look at the rune that Tien has.
Yeah, this was taken last year still.
Oh no.
Omnistone for Camille was taken in the previous years with TSM Academy. Yeah, so that's why, like, I know that you're confused by it. I saw that, I'm like, huh. I mean, that was a thing for a while.
It was a thing for a while, yes, but I think we kind of got proven the point on why it is not efficient. Especially in this situation, especially when laning phase is so important, Katsuri.
He's going to be able to survive, though. He's underneath the turret. Anda, gold guard, jumps in. RJS had to flash. Okay, so they're going to be able to get another flash burn. More summoners are gone. I want to see where we're going to see that first real commit of full dive coming in. Because No Org so far have been attempting that. And look at their lead right now. It's 1,000 gold up. And there hasn't been a kill nor an objective taken yet.
Well, look at the discrepancy between the junglers right now. It's a 13 CS differential. You have a lot of that farming advantage. Also, because of the additional gold that Value is able to get from the souls, that kind of pads it. It's just sort of like sprinkles on the ice cream form. But
underneath the turret, though, 5-hour, you got to be a little bit more careful on those attempted dives. I mean, you want Anda to be the one that's at least starting that off so he can jump out immediately.
Exactly. He's being a little bit over-aggressive. I like angry 5-fire. I like him raging out and sort of chatting out in the mid lane, but we also wanted to see them actually do that trio of death where it is Nidalee and Twisted Fate coming up into this top lane to really make sure that Viper has the absolute pick of the litter of kills in this top end. But the fact that it hasn't happened just yet, it's okay because they just hit level 6 like just last minute. So they need to do some preparation and know where Griffin is so they have all the chess pieces in the correct spots to commit.
All right, Coco, hear me out. Imperial Mandate 5-fire.
I know you were able to put Ohm Wrecker on turrets. I'm not going to let you put Imperial Mandate back in this game.
Come on, man. Give me something.
If there's something I want you to change, I want you to change mid laners picking up the necklace for...
the Verdant Barrier?
Yeah. It's something where it stalls the game out so much, and it just denies all of this bullying capability, and it also scales so efficiently.
All right, hold on. I gotta get rid of Moonstone first. Let me work on one thing at a time, and then I'll work on Verdant Barrier, okay?
All right.
By the way, do you know what Verdant means?
Verdant?
It just means
okay.
It's just a fancy way to say
Man, isn't that the best? Thesaurus, you should read it more, right? This is for everybody. I should probably read the Thesaurus more as well, as Anda is able to take this blue buff away from Griffin because he has his entire team backing him up, but CLG Academy might smell blood in the water, getting a little hasty.
No, gold card, has a blast gun too. Last embrace, just punch away. Ouchies, 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 ouchies. That is not a good justice punch there.
Yeah, you justice punched into the spear. That is not what you want to see.
No,
that's not gonna help out the laning phase, but CLG Hooks, he's still smelling that blood. It's around there, but
and another spear.
Maybe it's his own blood. It's definitely his blood that he's smelling.
And you locked down Ketsu too. Come on.
Oh no. Okay, look for 5-fire. He might try and make an attempt on their lives here. So
but
CLG Academy.
Have, Destiny Gate yet. It's not up yet. It's still on cooldown. Okay. So they have some time to be able to play around that.
Okay, thankfully for them. But look at all the turret plates that are being taken away from Value. Like, this is ridiculous that Value and Big are able to take plates off of the aggressive bottom lane of Katsuri and Hooks. And then Tien is struggling up here on the top side. He's got Conqueror now, so sadly Griffin is not in the vicinity to try and pressure the advantage of that new rune change. But at that moment in time, with all the debacle going around on that bottom side of the map, Griffin was forced out of his jungle, and it gives that upper hand advantage for Onda to pressure this dragon. And this is one of the other first dragons that they were able to get in this series. And
they got it last.
It's the second.
It's their second technically, but it's the first series where they're able to get it first. That Shockwave is going to be used on 5Fire, trying to get the smoke screen to get a lot of damage onto 5Fire. He's underneath the flash coming in to be able to try to dodge away. Griffin,
come on.
Oh wait, he had collateral damage.
He
Why
had
didn't
it.
Use it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. That Magical.
I just realized I'm like, oh, he's level 5. He didn't have it. Okay. And then I look over, he's level 6. I'm like, wait, that was a kill. Or was it? It might not have been. 5Fire might have barely been able to survive. It's tough. That one's a tough one.
Just making sure that I'm hearing some banging on my wall right now because Kangas is in the room next to me. We are roommates, as a matter of fact, so I can hear him very frustrated with CLG Academy's play at a moment in time.
Right,
but he might get frustrated a little bit more.
Block, getting a lot of damage. They were able to pull him back in.
Oh, he's
gonna
level
be able
6.
to keep him alive, but that's wasting that Fate's call to be able to save him. That's not what you want to have happen. You want to be able to utilize that for the engage.
True. You want it as like that double follow-up, right? Like maybe you're able to get the Justice Punch into a taunt, and then he's able to detach from initial burst and then re-engage with the Fate's Call. But all this pressure that's being able to be won over by multiple lanes from, I'd have to say, CLG Academy's hiccups and fumbles here and there in the early game. Okay, maybe they're able to find first blood here.
Double TP too. Using the Abyssal Voyage to be able to escape that fight barely. The flash away. Tian wants to be able to keep the fight going on to Big, but it's going to be big. He's going to be pretty big. Difficult to take down. Has that flash skin to be able to use if he wants to be able to get the shield. He finally is going to pop it. They got the gold card on Tian. Keeping the fight going though. Going to look to see if they can get something top lane because they popped that Rift Herald. 5Fire getting a lot of damage onto RGS. The Shockwave going to be able to pull him back in, but they got a huge shield as they swallowed him alive to keep him alive. Barely does he escape from that fight, and that's going to be a second charge coming in from Shelly top lane. But look at Hooks. Wants to see if the Winds of War are going to be able to connect onto 5Fire. He's going to be able to dodge away from it. He was smart enough not to be shopping while recalling.
What the heck, CLG Academy? All of that aggression, but No Org has played all of that immaculately. They were able to take so much away from the top side of the map, and they were able to disengage back and back and back so far into the mid lane and not able to lose too much, not even a single life from No Org. Huge shout out to Big and Value for being able to get out of that, get out of harm's way, and then also from 5Fire being that back support to also help disengage. Was in a little bit of trouble, but did use his flash to save his life as well. And now you just have to ask yourself, CLG Academy, you have tried to make some plays, and they have been very Hail Mary and drastic measured plays to try and get a grasp of control into this second game of the series. And all of that has given them a 4,000 gold differential. They are 4,000 gold behind of No Org because No Org is just reaping the rewards of all these hiccups and these misplays that CLG Academy is just scrambling to grab.
Losing a first turret topside, then having a second charge in that tier 2 topside as well. Not only is that gold, look at that giant spike there at just shy of 11 minutes because they're able to survive the fight, like you mentioned, from CLG, and then also get so much pressure from Viper.
It is ironic that it is also in CLG blue color. That is just... We're getting the dub. It's the right color, but it's on the wrong side, unfortunately. CLG Academy did choose red side, as you mentioned earlier in the draft. Oof. And ow, that hurted. Viper's already on Eclipse. He is good to go to try and skirmish for any mid-game objectives. And look at the gold that he has already, sitting very fancily at that 5k point. And look at how far behind TN is.
I almost wish we had a live cam on Kangas right now, just like in the corner, just to show his disappointment of things going on right now.
No, we don't do that because we don't pay the makeup artist enough for airtime.
Oh, you've got a good point.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that extra cost. You know what? He doesn't need to look that good all the time. It's for a meme. He can sacrifice 5 minutes of hilarity. Because right now we do see the push coming in bot lane. More plates, more gold. No kills, doesn't matter. No Orc are slowly suffocating the life. Oh, I guess slowly is not even a good word to use here because it's just. This is a brutal game so far for the side of CLG Academy.
It's been 13 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. No Org has taken 11 turrets. But CLG Academy can get first place.
Damage from Viper, the flash away. But going to be first blood coming in from him. As you can see on the other side, Jan's going to be able to get the 1-for-1 trade. Try to see if they can get it onto Viper as well. But that missile voyage is going to be able to save his life as they try to get a little bit of damage. Phage Caller going to be used. Going to be able to get the knock, but only onto one. As Sadek down. Looking to see if they can get hooked as well. Barely alive. Finally, he's sniped out of the air, and it's Value who gets the kill credit.
Man, oh man, No Org is playing their game immaculately. This is the No Org that we were all expecting in this tournament. From their performances in Big, from their performances in Cup, this is what we wanted to see from them, even in last night's competition, in their series against Zeus Gaming. The dominant performance of being able to just take control of the oppress their opposing jungler, and then just rip apart any chance of real comeback capability from their opponent. And CLG Academy is left barehanded and really grasping at any sense of control. I don't know what else to say. I'm just left speechless.
To Steve right here, because we're going to show the replay of that.
While this play was happening, Kangas went into my room and shot me in the back. And I didn't feel anything. Why? Because I was wearing No Org merch. So with all of that, it's just... watch Big. Like, this entire time, it was Big with a great call, great disengagement, being able to juggle the right members to get out of harm's way. And it's just the rest of the team having that mobility from the Twisted Fates, from the Nidalee Roams, from the Senna and Tom Kench utility. It's so difficult to try and lock down and kill No Org's team, but maybe they'll be able to find one.
And the ultimatum, but he got a lot of damage on Tian, trying to see if he can fight back against Griffin. That Eclipse is able to keep him alive for a quite long time, getting that lifesteal, and he's out of there, baby!
Bye-bye! He gets that extra shield, and just gets to walk out free of charge.
And he waddle away, waddle, waddle.
Waddle, waddle.
Big Hammer does not slow him down. It didn't feel like he waddled away. It felt like he
It was a light jog.
Yeah, it was a light jog. A little bit more as Hooks, you're dead here. There's just nothing you can do there. Body block, the Justice Punch, boop, boop, dead.
Just as a reminder, this every single player has been on an academy team in this series.
Yes.
So it's like
at one point. Yep.
At one point in time. So this is something where it's like it's not really that drastic of a change up, but jeez,
Destiny Gate behind,
night and day.
Getting a lot of damage coming in from Viper. Going to be the flash away from Katsuri, using collateral damage as Tian is trying to see if he can dive in the backline, but it's all solo. They burned him down, so he had to go cold to be able to survive. You can see Fire is doing a great job to be able to disengage, but they're going to be able to shockwave onto 2. Tian to get him back. It's a shutdown that they needed to, as it's a killing spree for Value.
With that, No Org, once again, taking control of this mid lane. They're going to be breaking open this final Tier 1 turret of CLG Academy's defenses, and they'll be able to also look for this Tier 2 if they so choose. They do have that cannon wave set up, so they could try and look for it. They just need to make sure that they have the proper resources, but honestly, I'd go for Rift Herald at this moment in time as we take a breath of fresh air and sort of do a little bit of a review at how this entire play was set up, and it's just another massive stat check. A wonderful lockdown from Value as well, and it's just at this point, you have not enough tools to get away from No Org's offense, and you don't have the survivability to even survive any kind of damage coming in from them. You look at like the damage coming in from Big or Value, it is just immense on how much they're able to dish out. And even Viper with the wonderful flanks on top of that as well. And this is just CLG Academy, again, playing on the back foot, trying to find a riposte against those members. If RGS was actually farmed up and had money in his pocket, he might have been able to grab a couple more kills there, but thankfully for him, he was able to at least snag Viper on that back end and find some sliver of control for himself, but the rest of his team is just dead in the water.
I hate to bring this up because it feels just mean-spirited, but we are 18 minutes into the game and there's a 7,000 gold lead for No Org. That play wasn't even what caused that either. They've been slowly... like I said, not slowly. I keep saying slowly. They've just been getting everything on the map. They've been getting the turrets.
Just bring it into context. The first time we touched about the gold lead that No Org had been able to accrue, it was because of the inactivity and the fumbles that CLG Academy were running with, and because of it, they were able to get that 3,000 gold lead. You can see it at that 11-minute mark on our graph there. It was just that little hiccup. They're like, cool, we were able to get our first brick turret in the top side. Massive power spike for us. Able to cash in on a bunch of mythic items for our carry players of Viper and Onda, and the rest of it has just been an immaculate tale of just constant backstepping, CLG
Ouch.
Academy not able to finding anything, and No Org just landing skill shot after skill shot.
Oh my god, stop, please! I can't watch this anymore. Just too much damage coming out. Okay, actually, I like that. But it's so hard to deal with the siege comp that No Org have because it's so early that they're able to utilize this. Normally, you talk about siege comps, it's like, 25, 30, 35 minutes into the game where they really start to feel their flow. We're not even at 20 minutes yet, and they're getting that much damage into the backline of CLG, and they've already taken down a tier 2.
Yeah, and this is weird to say because I'm going to be a little bit critical of No Org here because the condition and the drafting pressure that I wanted from them was to really prioritize the top end. But because of just how this game is played out and because of how many errors CLG Academy had given away on that bottom side, No Org was able to quickly revert all of their assets, prioritize this bottom and middle end, and then just sort of reap extra rewards as Viper was able to power farm.
Dead. Oh, flashed. Nope,
well,
dead.
Okay.
Dead still. Yeah.
Tragic.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, no, it's something that it's weird, right? Because it's like No Org's composition was designed to really power through the top side of the map, and stats and as the scoreboard shows us, it's not the case. There's been a lot of counterplays and catching CLG Academy biting off more than they could chew. And at this point, man,
yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Just stay away.
There's just nothing CLG Academy can do at this point. Like, it's 10,000 gold difference now, man. Like, Magical, I'm sorry. I think it's time to start working up and get No Org out of this game because they are ready for Proving Grounds.
But I was about to say, that's the thing. Look at how dominant this team is when they're serious about things. When they're like, no, we are the dominant team here in Proving Grounds. We are the team you must fear seeing us on the other side of the bracket. Shockwave going to be used onto one, but the shields are going to be too big to be able to take down Big as he flashes away. There's going to be the chase down coming in from Viper onto Hook, so they get 2 more kills for them. They traded the life of Big, but doesn't matter. They're in the base. They've got the kills. It's a triple kill baby coming in. They're able to get 3 for 1 life. That's what you need as you're already knocking down all of the Nexus turrets, all of the Nexus. 2-0 is what they want. They want to be able to face off against TSM Academy. They're not even waiting to see if they can get any objectives. They don't need them. They've gotten the Nexus turret down. One more auto is going to... Oh, there it is, finally taking it down. And No Org are in the position of power.
But reminder of what you said, Magical, it is still very early in the game. 21 minutes has just ticked over on the timer, and respawns are very short here. So Thien and RGS will be able to respawn, get out of that gray screen, and rally behind the rest of the team to at least thwart this closing of this series against No Org. But the stage, that's all they can do. They can thwart it. They can't try and push back.
One more. There it is. Got the range already needed, and they're going to try to see if they can chase down the flash coming in from Value to be able to survive, but it's going to be shut down and killed off by Fire. No mana, but they didn't need it. It didn't matter because Viper's able to get 2 kills for himself as RJS on the other side with Tien. They're going to be able to get Fire out of dodge to be able to continue the fight with Onda being able to get a great flank out of Tien. He's able to get away just barely, looking to see if they can get another spear to be able to connect. Not going to be able to get it. Instead, they're just going to continue to chase, continue to put this pressure, jump in. That's going to be the shockwave dodge as they had him go golden. Tion has to use anything, but he's aced. It's the game now. That's it. It's over. Lock this book down closed because we've got the series concluded with No Org again trying to pad the KDAs and let the Winions win the game because they know that is how dominant they have been today. They want to be able to continue throughout Proving Grounds. They will be able to go to Proving Grounds, secured at least in that 4th seed. But we know, after seeing this kind of performance, Coco, that this is not the end of them. They are delaying it because look at this. You still have 10 seconds until RJS is going to spawn, and Winions will win.
I'm just giving a moment of silence because we are going to be seeing CLG Academy in the Second Chance Tier 1 tournament that will be coming up in a couple of weeks. But on the other side, on a very much brighter note, No Org has given us a very definitive statement of saying we were supposed to be the #1 seed of the amateur teams going into this tournament, into the Grand Prix. This is who we are. This is what you needed and expected from us, and we're here to prove you all time and time again that we will be able to come back on top of the amateur circuit. And very well played from No Org from all sides of the map. Even the passive styles that Value and Big were giving us, they still had that proactivity to constantly look for roams in Game 1. They were able to constantly backstep and defend any caught-out members in Game 2 with that Senna and Tom Kench. And I don't think I have to reiterate the immaculate performance that both Fire, Viper, and Onda were all able to dish out today against the members of CLG Academy.
Honestly, I thought this was going to be a much closer series when we first started it out. And No Org, they were not having any of that. They were maybe it had to do with Steve saying that CLG Academy were going to win. Maybe it had to do with the fact they lost to Zeus, but you could tell that there was a fire in their eyes burning as they were just so aggressive with that whole early game. And they never relented. And that's the thing. Even in that second game, there were no kills for how long, yet they kept getting these gold leads.
Yep, it's ridiculous. Even at the end of the game, they had 16 kills to close out, and they had almost a 16,000 gold lead. Every single kill they got gave them an entire 1,000 extra gold to push forward against CLG Academy, and there's so many different elements that came into play because of that, though a lot of it was through those fumbles and those misreads coming in from CLG Academy. We talked about it at the very beginning of the game. It was that massive counterplay, that late invade coming in from No Org on that top side that said, hey, we're looking again and put you at a deficiency for Griffin's Graves, and for some reason he didn't really come into a gentleman's agreement as we expected. He decided to go straight to that blue buff and then do a traditional full clear and not try and peek in, even when they had vision poked out. Like, they had vision on that tri point going into the river at that mid lane. They knew that Ondo was staying and hanging around on the top side. He just needed to go down there and do the red buff. So it's like so many different things from there, and then the hiccups coming in from the bot plays that they were trying to find these different flanks. It's absolutely ridiculous of the amount of mistakes that CLG Academy had in the beginning, and it gave so many breaths of fresh air for No Org going into this second game.
Right. It was unfortunate because it seemed right from moment one that CLG Academy just couldn't actually play the game.
Yeah.
Ondo was able to exude so much pressure and so much of a lead early on that Griffin wasn't. Even though in that second game, I feel like there were mistakes on the side of Griffin that he should have known that was going to be a gentleman's agreement, and we're going to do vertical jungling here, go get the red buff. That way you'd at least have a little bit more pressure when it came to those later ganks that he tried to do. But that gold lead, as we mentioned, that was early on, was purely between the two junglers.
Yeah, purely between it. And it's just off of those mistakes and those misreads. And it's just weird to see that out of an Academy team, too. Like, yes, we know CLG Academy is one of the most... one of the teams that struggles the most right now, especially in the season, because of different situations, right? With some back-end work, having some hiccups, some visa issues that had them have a 9-man roster throughout the entirety of 10 games in the Academy season this spring. So all of that coming into a crew and having this chaotic environment and into that point, I'd have to say it shows that this is a huge wake-up call for the organization. And pushing forward, I think it's something where sometimes if you can't beat them, buy them. Like, No Org has No Org. Let's see, maybe you can strike a deal going into next season.
We've seen that in the past before with Scouting Grounds, so it wouldn't be a first time. But you know what? I feel like we've talked enough. We got Five Fire on the line. He's the king of Scouting Grounds anyway. We'll hear from him here in Proving Grounds now that they have quit. So, Kangas, why don't you take it away?
All right, congratulations, Five Fire, the winner of the last 2 amateur circuits, 2 years in a row, now qualifying for the Proving Ground circuit this year. Was there any doubt in your mind that you would be the 4th team to make it in and auto qualify?
I mean, we knew we were gonna make it in. We would have liked to have made it through the winners bracket last night. Had a bit of a tragic series, but yeah, this was an eventuality to us, so not really that big of a deal. But definitely good that now we can be excited for and look forward to Proving Grounds and playing against the best that Academy and Amateur has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 teams that are looking pretty strong that you're going to be joining in the Proving Ground circuit. One of them being Zeus Gaming. You did have a 3-game series against them, but did end up losing to them. So how do you go and kind of bounce back after a loss like that, going into a new series and refreshing? What was that like for the team, coming back from a loss?
Yeah, it's always tough, especially when before that set, we hadn't lost a set in something like 10 or 15 series or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
I want to say it was
some
12.
Crazy win streak. And so, it was definitely rough, especially because Zeus has given us trouble in the past, months ago. So it felt bad that we weren't able to, step up and, get over them. But ultimately, we knew, all right, it's fine. We still just have to play to win, got to play to qualify. And, oh, hey, look, it's an Academy team. Wouldn't it be pretty cool if we could just be the first team to knock out an Academy team, So...
Well, you did just that in impressive fashion. So what does it mean at the end of the day? Like, we live in a world where amateur teams are struggling against each other, but then can crush academy teams like this. What does this mean to the greater ecosystem of, semi-pro professional players that are trying to make it to the LCS?
I think it's just showing the truth that the top of amateur and the bottom of academy have always been close. I've heard stories in the past where people are like, oh, this team that was at the top of amateur, well, they could maybe beat the 10th place academy team, but it's like, no, we can beat the 6th place, the 7th place, the 8th place teams, and we should get opportunities like this. We should get opportunities to show what we can do, and to showcase ourselves. And, and for players who, for whatever reason weren't picked up or glossed over, like teammates like Viper and Anda that I have in the top and jungle, these insane players, they get to showcase like, no, look, this is why I should be in academy. This is why I should be in LCS. Like, put your eyes on me right now.
I mean, and for yourself, man, don't leave yourself out of that conversation. Take up an import slot in the mid lane. So, just for fun, we've had you on the broadcast a couple times. We've learned about you and your thoughts on a lot of amateur. Let's talk about academy. Let's say No Org right now gets picked up by an academy team and gets slotted in. Where would you power rank yourself compared to the other academy teams? Now that you've taken out the 7th seed in CLG, do you think you could push up to that, take out TSM Academy, take down 5th, 4th seeds?
It's a little tough to say. Actually, very early on in the season, we had a lot of games, even against the top academy teams in practices and things like that. But recently, we haven't had them so much. I think if we played like we did right now, it would be tough for us to challenge for top 3. But, come in a couple weeks, in a month even, I think we can definitely shoot for the top spot. I mean, in the end, we want to win the whole thing, right? So that's where we're aiming.
All right, well, I can't wait to see in the future there. But looking a little shorter into the future, the Proving Ground circuit, there are 4 teams that we know guaranteed to make it in. There's, of course, yourselves. We also have TSM Academy, and then Solifide and Zeus Gaming. So what's your opinion of the teams that have made it in so far? Do you think that any of them are going to give you a run for your money? Like, who are you looking at as like the big team to beat so far that's qualified?
Well, obviously Zeus has already beaten us once, so it would be nice if we could meet back up with them in the grand finals even potentially and, show them what we've learned. But beyond that, I think all the teams remaining are strong. Like TSM Academy has a ton of great players with a lot of experience, multiple Worlds appearances even. So they definitely can't be discounted. And then Solifide, honestly, I'm not 100% sure what to think. They've been doing really well. They've been beating everyone, but we haven't played them in months.
It's crazy.
Somehow
we cannot get on the same
every
bracket.
Single tournament. So, honestly, that one makes me a little nervous. It's the enemy you don't know sort of deal. But I'm really excited to watch their series against Zeus, and we'll see what happens there. But I definitely think all the teams remaining are strong. None of them can be counted out. But we're still looking to be the best.
All right, cool. Well, there's still more tournaments coming up in the future. The second chance one in 2 weeks here. Who do you think is going to join you? If you could maybe pick like 2 teams that you think, okay, yep, they didn't make it in this time, but they should make it in next time around now that the top 4 are no longer there. What are the teams that are kind of just punching up to your level?
I think, a lot of teams showed a lot of promise this tournament. Some I didn't expect. I didn't expect Winthrop to, give TSM a run for their money, and even making a decent run in the lower bracket. I think Maryville as well got a little unfortunate having to play us and then CLG back to back. And that team is a team that really does well if they have a lot of time and prep to work through things. So I think, having even more of a chance, more time before the next tournament will help them. And then the last one I'd say is probably Evil Genius's Prodigies. I think they're a team that need to find like their niche and really play to it. But I think when they do, they're really good, at least against amateur teams. I think they can compete at the top.
All right, cool. No Barrage? No love for Barrage out there?
I actually totally forgot about them. Of course, Barrage is going to join us. I didn't mention them because it's a null point. Obviously,
yeah, it's a given, right?
Obviously,
clearly.
They know what happened. It was some tragic, unlucky stuff happened on the Rift. But we'll be glad to see them in Proving Grounds. They're just playing for the second tournament prize pool, probably. That's my guess.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, we'd rather take first in the second tournament than just like top 4 in the first. It's easy. Hedging their bets. Well, thank you so much, Fire. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Congratulations on auto qualifying and best of luck and the rest of the tournament going for your higher prize pools potentially. So, we're going to send it back over to the analyst desk. Fire, have a great rest of your night. We'll bring back in Alk Battery and Tim. Yep. Everybody say bye, Fire.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
All right, and now we are back here on the desk. Man, that guy's just so fun to talk to every time. We love giving him some screen time. Just a criminally underrated mid laner. But now let's talk about that game, guys. We got to bring down the energy a little bit because I'm a little sad, not going to lie. I predicted CLG. I had the faith. I had the jersey. I thought maybe it would happen.
Nope.
But that wasn't even close, man. So, Alec, I'll give this one to you. Why? That's all I got.
I mean,
take it away. I'm just gonna leave the room now.
We were already praising No Org for their, creative level ones, and we see it yet again. I know we have a replay coming in for that first level one, and I'll let Tim go over when we get there. But they made sure to set Griffin off on a really bad foot to start with. They already are setting it up so now your Camille's basically on an island, away from their jungler. There's no way for you to get this, and they've already set that up right with having TF as well. So this topside should be absolutely exploded, and as we'll see here, and as Tim will kind of walk us through, Griffin had a really bad time, I think, in this game too.
Yeah, it was rough because he got attacked with this for sure. Like the level 1 invade comes in, looks like we can't really see it, so maybe we'll.
It happens.
I don't know if we're gonna get another shot.
We
at it or
were
not,
getting Griffin's POV of that.
It's Griffin's POV. True.
I think that kind of explains a little bit of what happened the next 10 seconds. But yeah, Tim, if you could just kind of break down what happened and what. Yeah.
So I mean, the short story of it is No Org invaded onto the red buff again like last game, but they did it with a little more numbers this time. Griffin reacted a little more quickly this time. He didn't linger around trying to steal as much. He ran bot and said, okay, forget it. I'm just going to take the hit and start on my blue buff a little bit later. But then the interesting thing that happened was after that, okay, he gets put on a poor footing here. So we're going to see it this time.
We get it.
So Griffin does have to recall after taking some poke there. He runs out. I guess No Org see that as the opportunity to kind of extend this and go for the full invade. Griffin gets some backup to try to contest this at first, but it doesn't take too long before they realize, okay, we're not going to win this. Griffin gets chunked again a little bit. They're not on the best footing. The really interesting part is what happens after they give this up. So Griffin's going to run to the bot side. He's going to start in his blue. Maybe we can speed through this a little bit to see what happens next, because after Enda starts the red, he goes to the Krugs. And now the conventional reaction would be for Griffin to split the map, and he's going to counter evade into the bot side. Mm-hmm. They're each going to get 2 quadrants of jungle here. But Enda actually, what Griffin expects here, my expectation of what I think he's doing is he actually runs topside, because I think he thinks, and I thought it at the same time, there's a cannon wave coming in, and they're actually going to try for a really early tower dive if Viper can get this wave pushed up. You can see Anda does go for the Krug, so he's there in case that happens, but Viper doesn't shove. He doesn't dump all his mana and go for big trades to shove and try to dive on this cannon wave, but Griffin ran all the way up there. He had the same read I did. He thought, I'm going to counter this dive, I'm going to take this disadvantage, and I'm going to flip it around on its head. And instead, Anda just says, you know what? Anda and Viper say, no, let's not do that. We're actually going to just go conventional. We're going to back out and clear. And now Griffin doubled down on the disadvantage. I don't totally hate the reaction. I just think he took a really big risk, and it bit him really hard. If the dive had actually happened and Viper and Anda actually did try for the dive, maybe that works out and he looks like a genius. But didn't work out that way.
Yeah, the casters brought it up, right? Like, they could have just gone for vertical slice, and I know when you were talking about it, like, okay, he's covering for this gank, and at that point, Anda's like, well, I'm not going to go to my bot camps, right? Like, there's no point. He should have already taken this. We haven't seen Graves yet. We actually saw Graves go to Raptors, so maybe he hasn't done bot camps, or maybe he just stole red, and we'll see what happens. But he has 5 fire come down, he checks chickens, he's like, oh, well, you have at least 2 camps here, and he's like, okay, well, what happens? And like you said, double down on this play, and I think this is what we were talking about with Loyoda yesterday, that sometimes Griffin tends to kind of outthink his opponent and ends up coming up really, really down. He just kind of he giga-brained himself in the wrong direction. Yes.
Yep. He's like, oh, this is going to be so smart. I'm going to punish him for this play. And
oh no.
And the unfortunate thing is that what we're going to show next is kind of the repercussions of him getting put so far behind in the jungle. We actually have the heat map of jungle presence throughout the game. So we're going to take a look at Griffin's first and kind of see what he was forced to do throughout this early to mid game to the end. Doesn't really go past the river at any point. He's fully defensive. So just everyone take a quick mental note of what you're seeing right now. Now we'll flip over to Anda's heat map.
All your jungle belong to us. I believe that's the label for this.
Whew, that's a feels bad right there. He just had free reign over Griffin's jungle from that point forward, and I mean the game 1 felt very one-sided. Game 2 felt even more so. It feels like No Org just really came online, really stepped into their own, and just knew exactly how they wanted to play out that early game.
I will say that I think No Org still kind of let the game I think they overreached for when the game started to go really well for them, and this is something that they suffered through basically all of their lives as a team together. We saw that mid lane was getting a little bit fancy for these guys because Fire was constantly trying to find engages onto RJS, trying to help Onda and him gank the lane, and it didn't work out all the time. We'll actually have a replay coming up where he TPs into mid lane. This is right after they had just ganked onto RJS, and I want to give really big props to CLGA's mid laner here because constantly, time and time again, this guy was, just doing what he had to try and prolong the amount of time he had left on the Rift, because this time he wasn't getting bullied by Fire under the turret, and we'll see this play right here. He's calling for Onda. Fire, I bet right now he's getting real cheeky with it as... Oh. There we go. Okay, whatever. You get my point. He lives, and great.
Hit the TF ult, and suddenly we couldn't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like function as a nocturne ult for the casters apparently. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, RJS I think was the kind of the shiny light for CLG Academy. There were a couple times when we were watching that game where we kept saying, "Okay, he's trying. He's trying to keep them in the game. He's looking for these plays." But it was all defensive plays. It was still never CLG able to get on the offensive. So what does that mean for... Oh, yeah. Sorry, Tim. You got a point there?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a little further comment about that play, because what actually happened there was Griffin was farming his top side, and Anda was kind of leaning in, and he had a little bit of an invade started, and there was priority in the mid and top lanes from Viper and from Fire. But Fire leaned to the bottom side, and stepping out into fog when you have priority is a really important kind of thing to do as a mid laner. But he stepped into the bot side of the map with his fog, when really the play should have been to step topside, to walk in with Anda and hunt down Griffin. He had a ton of time. They could walk all over that jungle until they found him and most likely get the kill. Or at the very least leave some vision behind, kind of wreck his life a little bit, and then head back mid. But I think Fire was just trying to get a little too cute. So he stepped into the bot side and he TF ulted back into his own lane as Anda had been recalling. But he actually came mid instead, and they tried to gank, and it didn't really work. And I think that was just a case of, again, Fire trying to be a little too cute when he and Anda could have invaded together. So it just goes to show that even though they stomped that game, there are always opportunities to clean it up a little bit, improve on your play review, and try to stomp it that much harder next time.
Yeah,
I like that, Tim. I like that. You're like, okay, you stomped them, but you could have done it better. Come on, guys, step it up a little bit. But,
yeah.
Stay humble. Anyway, congratulations to No Org. We actually have to take another look at the current bracket right now. We've seen multiple teams drop out at this point. So adieu to those that have not made it in for the Unified Grand Prix. They do have the second chance tournament coming up in 2 weeks to still make it into the Proving Ground circuit. But these are the teams that we have remaining. We got Solafide versus Zeus Gaming. That are still in the winners bracket right there, going on to the finals. And then here we go. The last two teams here, TSM Academy winning over Winthrop and No Org winning over CLG Academy. They will be facing up. And then the winner going into the losers bracket finals and then the grand finals after that. So we have two more best of threes and then best of fives for the rest of the show here. Alec, I'm just going to throw this to you because this is where we get to have fun and we just get to kind of guess what's going to happen from this point forward. Who's taking this whole thing? I mean, we got our top four. We know who's locked in, but who do you think is going to go the distance at the Grand Prix and take first place here?
Yeah, so this is, I think, going to be really interesting to watch what teams do at this time, right? The next match is going to be Monday. So they will have from here to the 1st of next month to just take time. Whether that means we're going to just use all of it to scrim, we're going to watch as many VODs as possible, try to get, collect tape as to what we're going to go up against, or give some of these players a little bit of a break. Because I know some of the amateur teams have been basically on a roll for the last 2 months in just pure 60 days of playing out a bunch of tournaments. So I'm interested to see what the adaptations are. Obviously, that TSM versus No Org game has a lot of eyes on it. It is potentially No Org getting to knock out another one of these Academy teams. And on the other side, I think a lot of people did not expect for Zeus Gaming versus Sola Fide to be our winners finals. So I look at that in the upper bracket. I see both of these series potentially being really explosive and really volatile for kind of what Amateur was expecting.
I'm going to call it right now. No Org.
Not again.
They, you know, how do I want to call this? Sola Fide are going to beat Zeus. No Org are going to beat TSM Academy, but then lose to Zeus, and we will still not have a No Org versus Sola Fide match at all in the Tier 1 tournaments. We're going to have to wait till Proving Grounds before we actually see these two teams go up against each other. Hey, it just makes it that much more rewarding when it finally happens. What about you, Tim? I'm going to throw it over your way. Do you think that TSM Academy still has a chance to show Academy teams got the stuff, or is it going to be one of the other teams that takes it?
Yeah, I think TSM Academy, like, the hardest prediction I'm having right now is what's going to happen in TSM Academy against No Org. I think that could be a really interesting series. I think it could go both ways. I feel like either of those teams, if I had to pick a winner, I would say it's going to be one of those teams, actually. I think there's going to be a run out of the lower bracket. That's what I'm feeling relatively confident about. I just don't know which of them right now. I think Sola Fide and Zeus are both good teams, but I think either TSMA or No Org, I feel like are going to get past those guys. So, but we'll have to see what happens. It's going to be a really exciting bracket. And this is what I love tournaments with lower brackets like this. It makes for some really exciting kind of finishes.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe a little bit of recency bias there, since we just saw two O's in a row today. Like, oh, it's definitely one of those.
This is the fastest broadcast we have had. I'm so glad. We've actually every game, every single time, it has been 5 games minimum. And while I love to have competitive series, this is it must be either the Kangas diff or it's just Tim. Tim brings too much insight to the game. They were like, okay, we'll just cycle through these real fast.
It was definitely a Kangas CLG Faith diff in that last series. I think that one we can confirm. I don't know about the TSM Academy series, but regardless, thank you so much, Tim, for being our guest on the show today. It was fantastic having you. Alec, you're on here all the time, but you did a great job. Thank you for being so welcoming to me coming in last second.
My participation medal's in the back.
Your participation medal. You got like 5 of them now. You're doing great, man. Yes. You're collecting them. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We got more action on the channel coming up, like Alex said, next Monday to see who is going to actually make it through. And the next week, we'll decide who's crowned as the Unified Grand Prix champions. All 4 teams make it to Proving Ground Circuit, but we still have to crown a winner here. So stick back in next Monday. That's it for the show today, though. So have a great rest of your night and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.